In today's video, we will be discussing graphing stories. By the end of this video, you should be able to investigate and analyze functions and their characteristics. How are graphs helpful? What can a graph represent? We will be looking at some real-world examples of how graphs can be used when we return to class. A graph is a pictorial representation of a mathematical situation. It provides information about the relation between two or more variables. A graph can be used to describe the changes in a given situation in a mathematical function. First, we're going to take a look at our typical graph here. We have the y-axis right here, which is vertical, and we have the x-axis right here, which is horizontal. My y-axis is my dependent variable, and my x-axis represents my independent variable. A graph is split into 4 quadrants. We start here with quadrant 1, and we move around our graph to the left to quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. We move around when we number our quadrants. Now we are going to take a look at describing a graph. When we describe a graph, we like to look at what's happening to the graph when we move from left to right. So our first type is increasing. For an increasing graph, when I move from left to right, my graph is going up. That is my increasing graph. For my decreasing graph, when I move from left to right, I am going down. Increasing, I go up. Decreasing, I go down from left to right. Our third type is constant. A constant graph moves horizontally from left to right. It does not increase or decrease. It stays the same. It moves horizontally. We can have a change in our graphs from increasing to decreasing. And when that happens, we have a maximum. So this point right here would be a maximum or a max. We change from increasing to decreasing. The point where it changes is called a maximum. You'll notice here, now we change from decreasing to increasing, and that point is known as the minimum. So your maximum is like a hill, and your minimum looks like a valley. Maximum from increasing to decreasing, minimum from decreasing to increasing. Rate of change is a comparison of change in one quantity with a change in another quantity. It's also known as slope or the steepness of the graph. We will talk about rate of change more later in this unit, okay? But our steepness is what we want to look at. For example, if we look at our increasing graph, this is one steepness of a graph, but we could also still be increasing and just come up like this. We could also be decreasing and be more steep. We can be less steep, we can be more steep. So rate of change reflects the steepness of our graph. This is the end of the video. When you are finished, we will return to class and we will work on some examples together.